its great importance to its implementation of conditionalities and as well as of the transparency to the process, because we believe that all the stakeholders in your society and in the EU should be involved in the implementation of the GSP regime. So I'd like to say that we have some serious concerns on human rights. And let me say that very basic international human rights conventions go together with accession to the GSP Plus regime. We believe that adequate protection of labor rights can only be guaranteed if fundamental human rights are respected. So labor rights and basic human rights cannot be separated from one another. And I also very much want to emphasize that civil society must have adequate space for free expression, and we pay great attention to concerning situations of extrajudicial detentions and enforced disappearances. So this situation at the moment is not compatible with core human rights conditions under the GSP Plus. So that's also why we are concerned about parts of the application of the Digital Security Act and the consequences this has in the form of a chilling effect to freedom of expression, notably in the case of journalists. And I was very pleased to hear from the Minister of Law that he has undertaken a procedure to amend the law, and I think it's up to us from the European Parliament side to make sure that the future amendment is in line with international standards. So the full implementation of labour law also requires a well-functioning and independent judiciary system. And the recent creation of labour courts is a step in the right direction. It's necessary to ensure that these are fully independent. I also want to stress that the GSP Plus requires the full implementation of the UN Anti-Corruption Convention. In addition, I want to welcome the existence of a minimum wage in Bangladesh, but it must be set at a level so as to ensure a living wage across different economic sectors. And let me point out that one of the elements in our national action, your national action plan on the labour reforms is also that the businesses must be responsible. Responsible business conduct is an element in it. And we have also been talking to the European brands, we have been talking to the manufacturers and owners of factories, that this question of living wage for workers is a key issue. So I very much hope that attention will be directed to this question. So finally, I want to say a word about the dramatic international political situation. It's very important to understand the reasons why this situation has arisen and what are the problems and the reasons of the problems. So the EU is very explicit and clear that this is not, the reasons are not the sanctions against Russia, but the unprovoked illegal aggression of Russia against Ukraine. It is this aggression of Russia against Ukraine that has led to the current problems and to the problems that the international community is being faced with. So, thank you very much for your attention, and I now give the floor to my co-rapporteur.
I mean, thank you. I mean, but the more successful we get, we cannot give such a generous program for every time. So you will now apply for the next step, and that means there are requirements to fulfill. These are labor rights, these are human rights, on the one hand. On the other hand, we have to look on the trade relations. You know that you have now a very big trade surplus with almost all European countries. And on the long run, sustainable trade means we have a balanced trade. And so we have a lot of issues to talk with your government, and at least what I can say is that the government understands that we are now in a situation of change, that your country is in a situation of change, that required reforms in Bangladesh in several areas, from labor to human rights to trade and business climate. And so the following years will be a process in which we talk about the necessary reforms and what has to be done. And at least my impression, I hope the impression of my colleagues is that, of course, we have obstacles, but we all are optimistic that we can be as friends and as friends who have contributed to your success.